All right. Welcome back to another hour of Scotch Hour. I'm Noah.
And I'm Jesse.
And we're missing our third wheel again.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Fell off.
In any case, welcome back to another hour here. I think we have a pretty fun episode in front of us. Our topic tonight is going to be black-eyed kids or children, depending on how you've heard it before, also known abbreviated as BEK. And Skinwalker Ranch.
That's right.
So some interesting topics there. We do got our normal shout-outs, our restaurant review, and our, is it Bruichladdich is the
Charlotte. Yeah,
from Port Charlotte. Yes, 10
you went
years.
big on this one.
So that is our scotch for this evening. I do want to say a couple notes up front here, some housekeeping notes. We did change our release day to Saturday, so I'm just going to say it releases on Saturday now, so you can watch it Saturday, usually, hopefully starting in the mornings. And then, sorry we didn't give you guys a whole lot of notice for that. I do apologize. We had been talking about it, but I think we forgot to mention it when we had Brian here as a third guest, and to give you guys all a heads up on that. And is there any other housekeeping notes that we need to do real quick?
I think that's the big one.
Scotch Reviewed.
The Bruichladdich Port Charlotte 10. It's a heavily peated Islay single malt scotch made at the Bruichladdich distillery. And a fun fact, they're known for a couple of great spirits, including their Octomore range, their Port Charlotte here, their regular Bruichladdich, and then one of my favorite non-scotch alcohols, the Botanist Gin.
Which is a very good gin, by the way.
It's delicious.
Yeah, it is.
Stay tuned for Gin Hour next. No.
All right, so Gin Hour next. After we've done this podcast.
And then Wine Hour. What day is it? All right. So with this, one of the interesting treats here, they do a standard metal tin as opposed to the cardboard tin. Nice and firm lid on there, but it's really a nice presentation in this beautiful green bottle.
You know what that green bottle kind of reminds me of now that you told me about the Botanist gin?
Yeah.
Right? Is that that green bottle kind of reminds me of like the Tanqueray bottles of like how they're dark green and stuff. I wonder if that has anything to do with because they make a gin. Doesn't that come in a clear bottle?
The Botanist does come in a clear bottle, but it might the green might have been chosen for botanical purposes.
Okay. Nice. So anything that you, as you open it up and pour, is there anything you want to say about it?
I'm excited.
You're excited.
I have not tried this particular Port Charlotte 10. I've tried other scotches from the Bruichladdich range and have enjoyed them. Usually pretty well-bodied scotches, but this one with the peat has been mentioned similar possibly to Lagavulin.
And our Big Ten, which I know those are both scotches that we like. So as you're pouring here, what I really got out of like doing some research on this here is not a whole lot of information, except for the fact that they wanted this particular bottle to be a Islay scotch, like a total Islay, like pure Islay scotch. So everything they done, they bottled it, distilled it, the barley, everything comes from Islay. And so this is supposed to be like a pure Islay scotch. Everywhere I read, that was made very prominent in the stuff that I read. It was like it's the pure prominent
Pure Islay.
Pure Islay. The other thing I've read here is that because it is heavily peated, it's supposedly, and I really don't know, I'm not a chemist or anything like that. I have no idea what this means, but apparently it's 40 parts per million peated. So whatever that is, so hopefully that means that it's well peated because it says it's heavily peated, but 40 parts per million. It is. It does go through. I guess aged in 3 different oaks. It's first time fill American oak whiskey cask, second fill American oak, and then second filled French wine casks. So that is also pretty pretty interesting there. And also another thing that they try to point out here that I've read is that they wanted to make sure that this is a scotch made by the people and not like some software program telling them like how to make the perfect scotch.
Nice.
So that's a little bit of information I did capture on there.
We also did mention earlier when we were looking it up, it's on the southwestern tip of the remote Hebridean island.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Southwestern
we
tip.
did say that.
And as you mentioned, this is not calculated. This wasn't designed by a computer. And I imagine that more and more alcohols, they're trying to find the perfect recipe for that. But this is well done by people, and it's at a staggering 50% alcohol.
Oh, it's 50%?
50%, buddy.
Okay, I did not know. I did not realize that was 50%. Okay, I did not look at that when I was at the store.
Might feel this one.
It's some of the other things I've read here about this particular bottle here in the distillery is that they are very big about the wild and about the area that they are from. So they mention a lot, and they actually have a section on their website about the terroir. Mm-hmm. And normally, it's kind of weird because normally when I do research on scotches, most of the distilleries don't really talk a whole lot about the terroir. However, when I was doing wine buying and wine selling and stuff like that, and writing reviews about wines in my weekly newsletters, I usually would talk about the terroir of certain wineries and stuff like that, and it does make a big difference. I guess I never really thought about it with scotches until I read about it here on this website. But that's something that they're really big about. They're really big about where they grow their barley, and as I mentioned to you on their website, it tells you like what temperature it is over there currently and how fast the wind is going and what direction it's going in.
Kind of fun.
Yeah, so I think that's kind of neat about their website. With that, we'll go ahead and we'll do our fast forward thing, take our tasting notes, and come back and share with all of you. All right.
Cheers.
Cheers.
All right. So for me, with the color, a very light gold, like a honey color, very clear, super light. The nose is, so it's very, and we talked about this because for us, it was a very interesting scotch in the sense of the nose is super delicate. So it starts off really mild. Same thing with the palate. But for the nose, a little bit of burnt orange, like when you get a slice of or a piece of burnt orange in the top of your drink, and you can smell that on the scotch just like you could with your any other mixed drink. The beginning of the flavor is very, again, it's very mild, and the longer it's sitting here, the more it's very creamy. A cream start that transcends into a bold finish, and this is the first place that I would consider it heavily peated or anything even resembling Ardbeg or a Lagavulin is right at the end, and the finish is everlasting with the creamy peat. Not so much the smoke to me, the creamy peat, and I get a hint of ginger.
Okay. Is that your review?
That's my review.
Okay, so I know you mentioned our Big 10 and Lagavulin 16. I'm not sure if we mentioned that earlier or not, but in one of the reviews or one of the things that we read, it did say something like, if you like Lagavulin 16 or our Big 10, then you should like this bottle. And I don't think they're incorrect in this assumption here on whatever site that I read that on. So for me, I agree with you. The color is very light. I would say it's a very light honey color. Mm-hmm. The one thing I did notice in here is like there seems to be like a little bit of particulates in there or something like that you see floating around. And I wasn't really sure if that was just me or if it was in there, but I think you also confirmed during our tasting time that you saw that as well.
I think it's the 50 parts per million, Pete.
And So when I first went to go look at the bouquet, right? And obviously I'm kind of very particular. Like I don't like making like sniffing noises when I'm on the show. But when I was looking when I was smelling the bouquet to this particular Scotch, I really had to get my nose all the way into the glass as far as I possibly could because it really was so mild of a bouquet that at first it was really hard for me to pick anything up. And so I did have to do our whole helicopter thing for a little bit. I had to like really put my nose in there and really try to concentrate on and trying to pick up the aromas that you get from the bouquet. For me, I think this is kind of similar to what you got. You said orange, burnt orange. The way I had smelled it or the way it came out to me was fresh. It's kind of like a fresh type of scent. It's not like overbearing or anything like that. So it was like a fresh, light citrus tone to it, followed by like a mild saline or maritime note. So if you can imagine like a little bit of like maybe like lemon or orange, some kind of citrus that's very light, very, very mild with a little bit of like the seaside, but very mild seaside, not something really bold like you're right there like in a fishing area or anything like that, but it's just very mild. And it's just like really light and refreshing. That's the bouquet for me. When I go to taste it, it's very light bodied to me. And the front palate, the mid palate, they are light. Even though I'm saying that they're light, they do have a lot of complexity to it. So it's not like weak or anything like that. It's just like, it doesn't seem to carry like a whole lot of body to it, but it does come pounding at the end. It's just like, yeah, it just, hi, how are you? I'm here. And then like after like, like it's like walking into a party. No one notices you. You have a couple of drinks. Nobody notices you. And at the end of the party, you're the star attraction, taking off your clothes, strip dancing and all that kind of crap. And that's how it comes. It finishes pretty bold, I think, in my opinion. And so like the beginning to me, is like it's like I get kind of like a little bit of graham cracker, a little bit of vanilla. I can see what you're talking about with a little bit of the cream, and then I get some herbal zest in it. But then that finish, right? That finish, I get you definitely get that peat. You get that kind of like wet oak maritime taste. So like if you're just like hanging out by like I don't know, like by the ocean or by a lake, and there's been like some like wet oak or wet wood that's been hanging out in the water for a really long time, you picked it up and smelled it, it'd be almost like that's what you're tasting. And it's pretty bold in it, and the finish is very long and enjoyable. And I think at the finish, that's where you get that Lagavulin 16 or the Ardbeg 10 reference that that other site was talking about. So yeah, to me, it's basically like you come in like a lamb into the party. You're not very noticeable. You're hanging out in the party for a couple of drinks. You're not noticeable. Then all of a sudden, you're just the party animal, star of the attraction, strip dancing on the table type of stuff.
I said a party too, not the party.
So that's how I would kind of go with this one here. I do like it. I think it's very enjoyable. definitely. I'll probably have some in a little bit. I still got a little bit more here to drink.
I'm telling you, the more it sits with me, the more the creamy French oak comes out, and I'm starting to actually get that. I wouldn't call it a grape flavor. I think that's wrong. But the French wine cask, I think, is really starting to come out in the end. And I agree with you. I love your excitement and the way you showed, you know what, like, I'm here, look at me. Because at the end, the finish is like that. You feel the 50% alcohol, but it's not overbearingly hot. You just feel it, and it's almost soothing, man. It's like, hey, I got a cold. Let's go have some Port Charlotte 10.
You know, it wouldn't be a bad scotch to make a hot toddy with.
I thought that was a girl.
So overall, I'll give it 2 thumbs up. I think I would highly recommend this one if you like, especially if you like peat, but if you're not like overly excited about peat, but you do like some peat, the nose, the front mid palates aren't going to overwhelm you with the peat, but it's the finish that's where it's going to be at for you.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't like. What do you? Any final words on this one?
No, I think it's enjoyable. I may come back right at the end and try to revisit it. Because the flavors continue to develop as it's warming and sitting. So for me, though, already also 2 thumbs up, enjoying it. It'd be, you know, a couple of things that I think are true to me is presentation is important to me.
Oh, yeah, the bottle's
the bottle is handsome. It comes in a nice metal
Talking about
tin.
the bottle real quick. I'm sorry. The back of the bottle.
Yeah.
I love how they have that the lettering there into the glass.
Yeah.
That's a sweet bottle.
It is. It's a great bottle. So the presentation is a win. The flavor, unless you know the scotch that you're going to be gifting, this would make a great gift if you know in general someone likes a well-balanced scotch. I think that this is a great choice.
It's time for our shoutouts.
Any shoutouts for you this week?
Yeah. I don't know if any of them will watch this. Hopefully not. Sometimes, hopefully yes. Others, depends on whether or not I'm misbehaving. But the last week I had, I would say 50% of my team at my place of employment out sick with COVID. Now, the reason for that is not that they weren't able to move. It's because once you have a symptom, you're supposed to get tested, and then to protect others, you're supposed to take 10 days off. So I understand that. But because of that, it really left me in a bad spot. But the rest of my store team, my peers, all kicked in and really supported me. So this shout out is to everyone who jumped in, to my ETL peers in particular, who jumped in and helped me. We finished the week green with 2 of our key metrics that are very dear and important to me because they're all about guest service, and that's a big thing for me, is to deliver that great guest service. So really thank you to each and every one of you. You know, no matter what level, for those of you that helped out, so that each day I could go home and not that I wasn't nonstop running for 10 hours a day. You should see some of the numbers. I should share them with you later. It's crazy how much I picked, if you will. But you guys made me feel like we still won, and I really appreciated that.
That's awesome. That's good to hear that your team came together for that.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to say, actually, this week I'm going to return the favor to you and say thank you for being a great co-host and being understanding. This past week I had some issues pop up with technology.
Restaurant Review.
We went to the West Main Taphouse.
That's
right. Right?
Yes.
Did I get the name right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I thought, right where it's at,
So many different directions. I don't know which way you're going to go.
Right where it's located, there's actually like 3 or 4 restaurants in the same one building. It kind of makes me wonder if it's like maybe all under one management or if it really is like 3 or 4 different restaurants. I thought when you walked in, I love how I actually love the decor of the place. I think it looked really nice. I thought it looked kind of more modern and sleek, and if you can call like a restaurant sleek, I guess. And it's just kind of like more of a uppity sports bar, if you will. And it has all microbrews from Colorado in there. There's not one major brew that you'll find there. So no Coors, no Buds, no Michelobs. It's all microbrews. And in fact, not even like a whole lot of like the big microbrews in Colorado in there either. I didn't really see like New Belgium. I think there might have been one Odell's and no Breckenridge. I didn't see Breckenridge in there.
No.
And I didn't see, I think
It was 51 beers on tap, right?
51 beers, and they're all from like these small microbrews in Colorado. Like,
Exciting ones too.
yeah, so I got one that's called, was it Sad Panda?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it has like some weird name too that goes along with it, like the brewery names, like Dragon, Blood, whatever, Sad Panda. I'm like, yeah, I'll do that one. And then I had this other one called Putin taking his shirt off, fighting with dragons type of thing. I'm not sure what it's called.
The shirtless Putin.
Shirtless Putin fighting something or other. But yeah,
I think it was hunting dragons.
hunting dragons. Probably should I could probably look up the names. I'm not going to do it, but they have some creative names. They were good beers. I had three pints there. The one I didn't like was like the blackberry one. It was a little bit too fruity and sweet for me. I did have I asked the lady what would be a better option, like the meatball sandwich or the hamburger. And I probably should have gotten the meatball sandwich because you could get a hamburger anywhere. And really the hamburger there, I feel like I could have gone anywhere and gotten the same kind of hamburger.
And what I would say is, like, the prices weren't necessarily bad, but their prices on their burgers, I felt like they were very proud of their burgers.
Yeah, I think they probably thought more about their burgers than what the really burgers were, and so you paid more for that thought process. I think it was like $17 or $18 for the burger, and it wasn't no $17 or $18 burger. But I will say this: I did go back again today because we went a couple days ago. I did go back again today and got the meal that you got, and that was fabulous. And that's probably what I should have gotten the first time. I'm not going to steal your thunder. I'm not going to say what it was, but I'm just telling you, like, that meal was the way to go. And the other thing I got to mention, too, sorry, I have to say this West Main, but whatever was in that burger, I'm not sure if it was a burger, not sure if it was one of the beers or whatever, but I swear to God, I had like food poisoning the next day because the next day I couldn't even work for the first half of the day because I had things coming out almost seems like every orifice of my body.
Yeah, so don't go with the burger.
So I don't recommend the burger, but it did taste good. It did taste well. I will say though, what you got does taste really well, and I haven't really felt anything bad about it.
There's your win. So what I had so a couple things to note about this evening. I get off of work late, 7:00. I drive home. It was snowing that night, and then of course, along with driving home and being the weather was inclement, there's snow. I get stuck behind one of those walls of plows. They're like doing nothing on the highway except keeping people from going over 30 to 35 miles per hour. So I got home really late. I didn't get home until I want to say it was like 8.
Oh yeah, so we didn't even go to the restaurant that I recommended.
Yeah, it was 7:45, and the original restaurant we were going to go to closed at 8:30. So redirected where we went because of my untimely arrival. As we did get in there, though, it's snowing and I'm hungry, but I want something salty, and I don't know if it's because of the snow or the beer. I had an orange cream to start with. It was delicious, and so I went with the green chili cheese fries. And what I can say is, man, this platter. It's not even a plate, it's a platter of fries. I feel like it's a whole bag of French fries just smothered with green chili and some cheese and some guacamole and some other little toppings there. Amazing. It was delicious. It was absolutely satiating. It was too much food for one person. I eat a lot, and I felt like afterwards I probably should not have finished.
So I think when I went today, I went during happy hour because I knew you get home late, you get here later than. So I was like, all right, I'll go there. I get off at 3:30, whatever. So I went there at like 3:30. It's half off for that same dish, and I think it's a little bit smaller. I don't think it was quite as big as the one that you got. It's still pretty good size. I probably should not have eaten all of it, but it was definitely good. I think that was the right call. And the hamburger was the wrong call.
So half price, did that make it like $6?
Yeah, something
That's
like that.
crazy.
Like $6-7.
Because even $12 for the regular, it's not really considered a meal there. It was an appetizer, but it's what looked good to me.
Dude, it's huge.
It is huge.
You can eat it as a whole meal. You really could. It's a good meal, though. So I, even though I had like a bad second day experience, I still recommend the place. I still think it's a great. The food tastes great.
Yeah.
I think it's first date worthy.
Yeah. Yeah. For me, you mentioned the environment. I thought the environment was fun. It was modern. It was clean. Felt clean.
Yeah, it felt clean.
And it was inviting, very trendy, if you will. So with the 51 beers on tap against one wall, windows along two of the walls of the building, great environment. It was fun. The service was good. And I think the service could have been a little bit better only because our waitress forgot about us, literally.
I think she's hitting on her manager.
But, you know, we get it. Everyone's looking for a raise. So, well, he was. But anyway.
They both were.
Yeah. With that, once we got our food, it was good. The other thing, not to go without mention, was the dessert you ordered.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about the dessert. The dessert was really good. It's huge, though.
Again, like this massive dish. So you want to elaborate?
Yeah, so I'm a really big fan of carrot cakes, and this was a gluten-free carrot cake. Not that I really care about gluten-free stuff, but it was. It had. I think the reason why I like carrot cakes is because I like cinnamon. And it had great flavor, like the cream cheese topping to it, the cinnamon flavor inside the carrot cake. It was moist. It was huge. It was like $14 for like a slice of cake, which I think is a little bit outrageous, but whatever. I mean, if you're going to share it with somebody, it's definitely worth. I think it's worth having. Like I couldn't eat it all by myself, so I gave half of it to Jesse, and I'm not disappointed by it at all. I think it was well worth it. Your thoughts on that carrot cake?
You know, it was fun. It was massive. I loved the little carrot dried chip crisps that were along the top. Good flavor. I as well love a good carrot cake, and I think I got that from my father. He always loved a good carrot cake, and this was a good carrot cake.
Yeah, it was. It was a great carrot cake. Yep. All right. So once again, I think overall, even though with the bad next day experience, I'll still give it like an 8. I do agree. Once the waitress caught on that she kind of forgot about us, she was like pretty much always there, checking up on us and everything like that. So I think the wait service was good. It was good when I went back here the second time. The flavors of the food was good, like you said, clean, modern, first date worthy, second date worthy. All that stuff. So I'm pretty confident giving it about an 8.
Yeah, I would say overall would be an 8 for me as well.
All right. Anything else we got to say about this one?
No, it was fun.
Yeah, it was. It was a good time there.
It was.
Smarter Challenges.
One of the things I would say about Black-Eyed Children is that the interesting history, one piece is that they're often considered evil, but other times they're also often considered super intelligent. And one of the things about super intelligent kids, or modern day geniuses, if you will. This would include the likes of Mozart, Picasso, Bobby Fischer. Is that these individuals, super high IQs, at a young age, were all born knowing more than they should have psychologically. So at a young age, well too aware of too much. And it's interesting because of that knowledge. Part of that is that they're able to use that to help transform different aspects of society. Where this also goes back and forth is these particular individuals, whether or not it's all factual or guessed, is that they all have more rapidly advanced DNA, in a sense that the human DNA continues to evolve at a staggering rate, at a very quick rate. And part of that is around the intelligence, but more impactful is the emotional intelligence, not just the intellectual intelligence, but the emotional intelligence. So a couple pieces that come here is that these individuals, often considered possibly tying back to more of an alien, if you will, alien DNA, tend to follow those same suits. So here they are, they're more alien, they've got these dark eyes, they're completely black, they're super smart, but they're also seen at night and all sorts of weird things. They come out of nowhere, so they've got unique abilities, things that are very alien oriented, which creates a lot of fear in what is ultimately questionable as an urban legend. But regardless of that, the belief would be that they have alien DNA. So along with these more advanced humans, they possess and have unique intelligence, powers, and emotions.
So you talked about the alien portion here. I guess I'll kind of go a little bit out of sync from how I have my notes here, but there's a paranormal researcher, I guess, or investigator, if you will. His name is David Weatherly. He's pretty well known in the whole paranormal realm or whatever. He's been interviewed quite a few times on Coast to Coast AM with George Norrie, which used to be called Coast to Coast AM with Art Bell. And he did a whole lot of extensive research on the black-eyed children. And he didn't start his research until the early 2000s, but really the black-eyed children didn't really hit the scene until back in like 1996 with Brian Bethel, who is a reporter in Texas, Abilene, Texas. And apparently the story goes with Brian Bethel as being that he went to go make a payment on like his power bill or something like that, and the drop-off box happens to be near like a Dollar Theater or something, and there's these two children with black eyes that were asking him to give them a ride, and they're like, we forgot our money at home or whatever, can you give us a ride? And he's like, no. And when he saw their black eyes, he kind of freaked out. And then, so he wrote about this experience, and then that kind of started like an internet frenzy of like other people jumping on board and saying like they had the same similar experiences. So when you start doing your own research for black-eyed children, at least for me anyways, it just seemed like it was like a bunch of like short stories written by people, and this is what they call creepypasta. Like it's basically like horror stories written by people and posted on the internet. But David Weatherly made a really great point on Coast to Coast AM, talking to George Norrie, when talking about the Tibetan people. There is something that is called, I'm pretty sure I wrote it down. It is, oh crap. Oh, Tulpa, Tibetan Tulpa, Tulpa. And the Tibetans, they believe that if enough people believe in something and put enough like thought process into it and enough emotion into it, it will go from being a thought into something into reality. And he talked about this when he was explaining like how the Slender Man thing kind of started to develop as well. And he said and you know, there's a lot of examples in the Tibetan culture and stuff that kind of explain like how this actually really does happen. George Honori has talked about it in his book, The Light Worker or something like that, Worker of Light, about like how if you have focus energy and stuff like that, if you get a bunch of people together have focus energy, it can change like weather patterns and stuff. Any case, this could be a certain type of situation where in the Western civilization, where this is where you hear more about the black-eyed children, that enough people start talking about it, thinking about it, that it kind of started manifested into reality now. And now there's a lot more people who experience it. And in his research, he started seeing like a lot of people in authority who started to come across these black-eyed children, police officers, military personnel, things like that. And so he was talking about how he started interviewing a bunch of people in the 2000s, and it was like reliable people. It wasn't just like these weird people you see like posting crap on the internet. And to your point, to wrap up go back to where my starting point was with you, is that he said that there are some people who believe them to be demons, and which is why sometimes they have a foul odor to them, like sulfur. But the other point was he thinks that some of them, some people believe that they're human alien hybrids, and some of the people or houses that they visit happen to be a small portion of people who've had multiple abductions. And so there's a theory out there that these black-eyed children, if they are like alien human hybrids, for that small population, it might be their children.
You never know. And maybe that foul odor was because they were at the West Main Taphouse and Grill the previous day and had a burger.
Maybe.
It's interesting. So the backwards and forth, if you will, the biggest pieces are, what is it people are really saying about them? To your point, there's an odor. Maybe they just need a shower. Maybe they had some bad food. Maybe they're half alien. They're a hybrid. But there is something that I think is true about the rationale that if they're able to keep hidden when they want to and only come out when they want to, there's a super intelligence there. But I think the emotional piece is that they tend to play on their reported victims emotionally. So yeah, exactly.
He did bring that up. Because every one of these people that report them, all say that they're basically scared shitless.
Yeah,
and then they disappear. And so they've have you read anything that talks about like what happens when people let them into their house or into their vehicle?
No.
Okay.
Sure, nothing good.
So apparently, like there's this one guy in I think he's in Texas or whatever. David Weatherly was talking about this on his interview with George Honori. But there's this guy who raised a pit bull to be a guard dog. And so like these kids came by, and usually, and with David Weatherly's in his research, what he says is that they usually come out right around dusk. Mm-hmm. So it's not quite dark yet, but it's not really light out anymore. It's right around sunset time. And they came up to this guy's house, and they don't ever really talk like in conversational English or anything like that. Their speech pattern's always a little bit weird. So apparently the child said like, it's food time to the guy. Let me in, it's food time. And they get kind of like pushy about being let into the house or whatever. And this guy, apparently his dog, his pit bull, the guard dog, comes running towards this child. And when it goes out the front door, right to where the child is, he said it like what happened was like the dog pretty much shit its pants. it could not like turn around quick enough and run back in. And apparently the dog has never been the same since.
Yeah, I mean, it's a spike.
And then also there's this another story where a mom had her child in the car, went into the convenience store, comes back out, and her child let the black-eyed child into the vehicle while she was in the convenience store. And as she was pulling out, she noticed the black-eyed child in the back seat with her kid, and she basically got rid of the child. And she asked her son, like, "Why'd you let him in?" And she's like, "He's like, well, I thought he could come home and play with me," type of thing. And apparently, the kid got like really sick, and like some of the illness that he had was similar to like radiation poisoning. And then there's like another story where there's an Indian reservation where they talk about these black-eyed kids on this Indian reservation. Their animals had gone missing and stuff like that. And there's some weird stuff going on there. So, anything else you really want to?
With the black-eyed kids, no, I think that kind of summed it up for me. Is just that my understanding is if they are real, really the tie would be that they would be advanced alien DNA-oriented human beings with super intelligence and unique powers. And to your point, what scares a dog? Well, nothing that's of this world.
Yeah, right.
Not that dog, anyway.
It also talk about your aliens here, too. A lot of accounts, like when like the cops, they would come in contact with these black-eyed children, they turn away, and a lot of times they just disappear, like you mentioned before. Yeah. And then there's other accounts where they are driving away with men in black.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. So apparently, I guess there's some pretty freaky stories out there about the men in black as well. And these black-eyed children tie in with the men in black, which tie into the alien hybrid theory.
Well, Will Smith, he had to come and save us, and to do that, he had to take them away.
Exactly. So I would say, bottom line, of the black-eyed children, I'm not sure if they're real or not. At first, before I came across the David Weatherby interviews and stuff like that, I would have just said it was just a hoax, 100%, a bunch of people just writing crap on the internet. After listening to some of his deep research that he's done and some of the people that he's interviewed, I'd say it's possibly plausible. There's a lot of things that happen on this earth that we can't really explain. I think it's plausible that we could have alien human hybrids or interdimensional beings. That's another thing that they think that there might be. And considering we just talked about Interstellar, we talked about interdimensional type of stuff. So there's a plausibility that could be the case. But it seems like in almost every situation, the black-eyed children give people the heebie-jeebies, and so don't let them into your house, don't let them into your car, and stay the heck away from them. Is basically what I've gotten out of it.
Right. I'm not trying to tempt fate. I don't think I believe in this particular urban legend. And if anything, hopefully the religious aspect of not believing means it's not real is going to protect me.
Also, if you got to this part here and you're watching us, let us know in the comments about what you think about black-eyed children.
Yeah. And if you want to ever have one or be one or see one.
All right.
Mutilate one. I don't even know.
Skinwalker Ranch, located in Utah. Yeah, yes. Basically between Roosevelt, Utah and Vernal, Utah, which oddly enough, I've been to both of those places, but never been to Skinwalker Ranch or driven by it because I didn't know about it at the time when I was out there.
Ballard, Utah, yes.
If you look on the map, you'll go through Roosevelt before you'll get to where the ranch is, and if you go a little bit further, you'll go to Vernal, and Vernal's pretty close to the Colorado border. And when I first moved out to Utah, I sold some life insurance out there in both Roosevelt and in Vernal. So I kind of know the area. It's pretty desolate out there. Not a whole lot of stuff. If you ever watched the documentary on Hulu or the History Channel's documentary or the Secrets of Skinwalker Ranch, what you see out there, that's pretty much what it is. It's pretty much like
Fields.
Yeah. So, in any case, you want to go first, or you want me to? Or
I went first last time. You go ahead and dive in, and then if you want me to, or if you want to take a break and you want me to interject, I'll be happy to jump right in.
Okay, so we'll start off with Skinwalker Ranch here, as far as saying that I first came about it when I was driving around. I used to have to drive around quite a bit, going from like client to client. So I would listen to YouTube a lot, and I had the YouTube Premium account. So sometimes it would just go from one show to the next show, and it's on random. So I don't know what the heck I'm ever listening to, but it went to this channel called Bedtime Stories, which actually is kind of a cool channel, Bedtime Stories. It has like a lot of weird, creepy stories that are kind of based in tales that happen in real life.
All right.
Which is Skinwalker Ranch is a real life thing. So, or real life places. And so it had, at the time, it only had parts 1 and 2 of Skinwalker Ranch. And I think part 3 just came out recently because of the new TV show. But I found it very interesting. It was basically it's a UFO hotspot, paranormal hotspot. And there's been a lot of research done there. They say now that it's the most researched place on Earth regarding paranormal activity. And there's a lot of creepy things that happen there. So basically, 1934 to 1994, Kenneth and Edith Myers owned the ranch. Then 94 to 96, they sold 94. They sold the ranch to the Shermans. And that they only stayed there for 2 years, and then they showed it to Robert Bigelow, who is a billionaire who brought out a lot of research out there. He had like government contracts and stuff like that. So they think that some of the stuff that they found on the ranch that they might have been using or helping try to develop new fuel to propel aviation or aircraft, UFOs, if you will. And then they sold it to Brandon Fugel, who is now the current owner and is currently on the Secrets of Skinwalker Ranch TV show on History Channel. What I find, like most of the information I know is more about the time when Bigelow had the ranch. And the reason why I know about that is because of George Knapp. I was a big listener. I've been a big listener of Coast to Coast AM. So I really listened to it back in college when Art Bell ran the show, and then George Norrie ran it. And then George Knapp, he was a reporter. Originally, I thought he was a scientist that went out there, but he was a reporter that was allowed to come out there and do research or report about all the ongoings that happen on Skinwalker Ranch. And apparently there's a lot of things that happen out there that freak the crap out of people. Like there's apparently a portal opens up and some kind of weird animal alien thing popped out of the portal and freaked people out. Apparently there's what they call hitchhikers, where some kind of paranormal activity will latch onto a person, and so even after they leave the ranch and wherever they go to, like their house, whatever, they have hauntings in their house. Let's see what else. There's I guess one of the more famous stories there is when the Shermans purchased the ranch. There's this huge wolf which would actually fall in under the Skinwalker mythology. I guess that would be, I'm not sure if it's a legend, a mythology. The Skinwalkers are basically witches in the Indian lore that basically wear like wolf skins or whatever, and they steal people's children or possess other people. And it's a big hush-hush thing. So I don't want, I know you're going to probably talk about the one part of it, so I don't want to like steal your thunder.
No, man, keep going. Do your thing.
But I do know there was a bit of a beef, if you will, between the Utes and the Navajo. And like I said, I'm not going to steal your thunder on that one. But I will say this, though. I have a couple of friends who are in Utah that are part Indian and stuff like that. And the one thing I have learned, because I've asked them about this, like when I first heard about Skinwalker Ranch, I'm like, hey, do you guys know anything about Skinwalker Ranch? And they're like, we don't talk about that. I'm like, you don't talk about the ranch? And they're like, no, we don't talk about skinwalkers. I'm like, okay, but I'm asking about the Skinwalker Ranch. And they're like, we don't talk about that. I'm like, okay. And I'm like, so, like, what is it? And they're like, we don't talk about it. Like, we won't even say the word. I'm like, you won't even say Skinwalker? And they're like, no. And apparently it's really pretty much a forbidden thing to talk about because it is really something like they really honestly believe, and who knows, maybe it's true or whatnot, because like the Shermans, they saw this wolf-like thing, they shot it, and like it didn't die. Like they shot it like multiple times with like a huge ass gun, and it didn't die and stuff. And so yeah, so it's like from my understanding, it's an Indian lore. It's a witch that uses like a wolf skin. So you can almost say it's not quite the same, but I'd say it's for those who are from Western civilization, like more like normal, like Americans or from the UK or something. It would be more like a werewolf, if you will, but more, I guess, heinous as far as like they go after other tribes, children, and possession and possessing people. That's kind of like when my intro part here, and I'll just let you kind of take off.
No, I think it's interesting because I think one of the truths is there are different Indian cultures, if you will, and one of those cultures is the Navajo Indians. Now, being a very small fraction of myself with Navajo history, this is fun for me, if you will, because in Navajo culture, a skinwalker is a harmful, and so it's really weird trying to look at, okay, how would you describe this using their culture and our words? Because they don't always make perfect sense. So a skinwalker in the Navajo culture is a harmful witch who is able to either shapeshift or take on another form. So that could be a wolf. It could be something else as well, but very powerful, if you will. And they also have the ability to sometimes possess others. But the important piece here is it's intended as harmful. It's a harmful witch. Now, why I emphasize that is because in most Indian cultures, especially the Navajo culture, there are also good witches. These are the ones who use peyote or whatever it may be to make the sick better. So there's good witches and there's a bad witch. Well, are you a good witch or a bad witch? What do you mean? I'm not a witch at all. So with that, the harmful witch being the skinwalker, going through a little bit of Indian history, if you will, there was a big beef with the Utes and the Navajos. And so legend, if you will, says that the Navajos cursed a portion of this property. So Skinwalker Ranch, approximately 512 acres there. And you mentioned it's right in Utah. With that, just the price that it went for is still dumbfounding to me, $200,000, because it's cursed. Well, give me the $200,000 risk. I'll take it. That's a hell of an investment. Look at what he made on the TV show alone by investing $200,000. That's why he's so rich. Turned around that loss as an investment. Might be a good reason to own a business. But so the Navajos really curse this territory, and then throughout time, literally there are stories after stories of animals, werewolves, different beings, giant wolf-like creatures not dying, being shot, terrorizing people, taking away their kids. And it's not just the Navajos that don't want to talk about this. It is definitely the Utes, and you're absolutely right. You don't talk about these things because
I don't think any Indian tribe talks about it.
No, they don't want to talk about it because they don't want it coming at them. So they absolutely believe in that. It's one of those superstitions. If nothing else, it's at least a giant superstition where they don't pick up that penny unless it's heads up that they don't talk about this at all. And it's kind of interesting, though, because that's just one aspect of it. But I think ultimately that's really the Skinwalker Ranch, where it got its name, where its orientation is from, where it came to fruition. But then with that, with the curse or anything else, really it was the skinwalkers that were meant to foul this land for the Utes. But with the curse, it's also very interesting that so much has gone on there in so many other ways. So tons of UFO sightings, tons of unexplained phenomenon. But I think the other piece I'll throw in there, and then I'll let you continue whichever direction you want to, is that back in the pre-A-bomb dropped on Hiroshima days, they did a lot of nuclear bomb tests in Nevada. And with those tests, the fallout most likely, particularly because of the layout of the land, the winds, and global warming, we'll just blame global warming. That's not true at all. But because of the windfall and the way that the radiation fallout would have happened, it is very likely that a large concentration of radiation fallout would have happened also on this land. So whether it's a curse or not, this land has had no luck.
I think that would be part of the curse, would it not?
I mean, I don't know. The Skinwalker's not doing that, but regardless, man.
I mean, you put a curse on a land, it just doesn't have to be Skinwalkers. Or maybe the bad witches are like cursing it for all time and eternity if it's not them doing it.
Maybe they were aliens. We've got just saying. So with that though, I really just want to emphasize the area of land that is often most cursed is much like.
It's up by the ridge, right?
It's up by the ridge, and it's interesting because I was like, man, this is a little tangent. But I want to throw it out there. Remember the movie Old by M. Night Shyamalan? I'm butchering his name. It was like a ridge. It was like a horseshoe where these people went and aged. And man, I thought that movie was pretty good up until I watched this documentary. I'm like, man, No Story's new again. He's stealing this from Skinwalker Ranch. How terrible. Like, it broke my heart. I'm like, man, I almost wanted to watch that movie again. Now I'm like, no, done with it. M. Night, no, sorry. Like, I can't believe you used this, which is not wrong, but man, make something new once in a while. Come on. Like, Unbreakable was mostly new, except that it wasn't. All right, kicking it back to you, Noah. But really, the nuclear fallout was where I was leaving that, is that there was absolutely testing whether it was, a new aeronautical fuel or previous bomb fallout. There's nuclear particulates on that land without a doubt.
So if you watch the TV series Secrets of Skinwalker Ranch, it's a little bit cheesy. I'm not gonna lie. I think they try to overplay the acting a little bit in it. But listening even to Brandon Frugal on Coast to Coast when George Knapp was interviewing him, he's really actually a pretty normal guy, I guess. Like, even though he's a billion, I think a billionaire or whatever. I'm not even sure if he's a billionaire.
I don't think he's actually a billionaire, but he will be someday.
Yeah. If he's not, I'm sure he will be someday as well. But he's like pretty down to earth guy. Like
wait. I do apologize because I don't want you to lose your train of thought. But when I saw him drive up in his Lamborghini, just like the Dark Knights from Batman, I was like, okay, he's that guy. I get it.
But yeah, he is that guy because he grew up in the 80s, like probably like us.
High five, man. I love Lamborghinis.
and he's like, yeah, he goes, in this last interview this last video interview you had with me, George, you probably saw two mannequins behind me. One of the mannequins had the sword and the outfit from the last John Wick movie. And then the other mannequin had the outfit from Bruce Willis in Unbreakable. And so he like collects all these like movie memorabilia from his youth, and he's like really big into sci-fi stuff. So and if you look at his the holdings account that Skinwalker Ranch is under is adamantium, which is like I think the metal for Wolverine. So obviously he has a big like liking to pop culture.
Yes.
So being that he drove in a Lamborghini acting like Bruce Wayne or whatever, that makes total sense. But in any case, as far as like the TV series goes, and talking about the radiological fallout, it's weird because in one episode, the aeronautical professor guy, I think his name's Taylor or something like that, or I forget what his name is. He's from Alabama, but he goes to a certain spot in the second homestead area, which is by the ridge where all the creepy stuff really happens, and he lifts up this like cement block area, and he gets exposed to radiation. And the very next day, they go back with like a guy with a Geiger meter and all that stuff, and it's just background, like background
normal
radiation.
everyday radiation.
Yeah,
levels.
but yet the guy has he had like a
Radiation burns.
Had to go see a doctor and all that stuff. It's really weird though because like this ranch, and if you listen to George Knapp or anybody else who's like spent time on the ranch, they talk about how the Skinwalker Ranch actually has like a personality or an attitude towards it, and things that might happen one day will not happen again another day, or it may not happen again at all. And if the ranch doesn't like you, apparently it becomes pretty vicious with you because there's like former military people that were guards there that will never return because like they got so freaked out from what happened to them. And so they talk about beings, or I guess beings is the best word for it. They come out of portals. So if you're watching the second season of that TV series, they just finally found like some rock drawings where they brought in some guy who reads like the pictographs on the rocks and stuff. And he says, "Oh yeah, this is talking about snakes here. This is what these curvy lines are, snakes, and they are put here by the Indians who drew them here to protect against these portals." And it's funny because like before then with Bigelow and his crew, there was mentions of like portals opening up and people or these, I wouldn't say people, but beings or animals or creatures coming in and out of those portals.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting there are certain tie-ins here when you look at portals or wormholes, maybe, possibly wormholes that we're talking about. Everyone just assumes that. I think most people do actually assume a wormhole is fictional, whereas I absolutely 100% wholeheartedly believe in wormholes. I actually think that Elon Musk has shot a rocket through one, SpaceX, the rocket that disappeared that nobody even talks about anymore. But with
is that the one with the car on top?
No, that one, they know exactly where it went, and the car is now circulating Earth. And he drove that car, right? He made sure he drove it before he shot it up into our atmosphere, and it is orbiting Earth. It's awesome. I love it. Like, way to go. You know why? So it's crazy because he did it all because of that book.
I agree with you. I think wormholes do exist. So back on topic.
Yeah, no, it's just man. Yeah. So with that, good job, Elon Musk, and I sincerely mean that. But with wormholes, they're real. And you see a trend, and it's interesting because I think with science, or as some might call science fiction, I think this is actually science fact. Wormholes can and do exist. You see the potential not just in space, in movies like Interstellar, in the future, but also in present, with situations like, is it the Men in Black taking away the black-eyed children? Is it that there are beings coming and going from Earth or not at Skinwalker Ranch? And
would you say, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there, but would you say like wormholes could be a gateway for dimension to dimension?
Absolutely. And the tricky part is that depending on which dimension you're in, as you learn a little bit, if you pay any attention in Interstellar, different dimensions have different timelines, different gravities equal different time accelerators or anti-accelerators, so you may age more quickly or less quickly, and it makes it all that much more astounding. But yes, it is one of those things, and for me, it's fascinating. We also see this same trend everywhere, like in 12 Monkeys. So again, 12 Monkeys, we know they're using time travel, most likely some form of wormhole, and man, like think about movies like Tenet that are absolutely using this same thing. We time and time again find these ties, and it's just interesting because it's too good not to be true. It is truth.
Okay, so here's something I didn't really realize, but we've almost kind of been on the same topic for 3 shows.
Oh, it's a long
12 Monkeys, Interstellar, and now this.
Oh, okay, but I think it's even bigger than that because when you start to think about the evolution of change, I think things like James Bond actually cover that in many ways too, because you've got these things that nobody wants to admit might exist. Nanoviruses. This is real. It is out there. It is possible to tailor a virus.
It is.
Yeah, it is pretty interesting because that leads to 12 Monkeys where there's a virus, but also time travel, and wormholes leads to Interstellar where there's actually wormholes and time differences. And again, don't always think about time travel as you're just going back a day or not. You might be using a gate to fast forward or reverse your own age, slowing or speeding to change that timeline when you return.
So here's a kind of interesting thing too. If one were to think about it too, you have like stuff like Monte Picchu, like those monolithic rocks over there. It's been well known from the ancient civilizations that there are stargates.
Yes, and actually, oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, that's literally where I was going to go next with Stargate.
Because stargates, they are basically wormholes going to either like other worlds or other parts of the universe or maybe other dimensions. And really, and this is what they're kind of thinking, like that there are apparently wormholes or stargates or portals. Any one of those things could be almost exactly the same thing, just using different terminology, where it takes you from one place to another place. And if you really look back at like the Sumerians and like the stories of Gilgamesh and all that stuff back then with those clay tablets, they talk about like how there were gates available to get to the gods who were basically the Anunnaki, who were advanced humanoids, if you will.
Thoth and the Emerald Tablets, man.
Yeah, exactly. Thoth and the Emerald Tablets. Like, if we're going way back to some of our episodes, yeah, we could go all the way back to Thoth.
I'm telling you, this isn't a new subject for us.
Okay, so what are you going to say about Stargates?
No, it's an interesting aspect too, because we've talked about Stargate before in shows, and Kurt Russell did a phenomenal job as an actor in that movie. By the way, I absolutely want to make sure that I mention that because to me, the emotional intelligence he exposed of and delivered in that movie is what made that movie. Then you have James Spader as a scientist, did another amazing job. And then you think like, man, this guy is the star of The Blacklist with no hair just a little bit later. It's like they're not the same guy, but it is. But with Stargate, it is just that. It is another thing. We've talked about it before. It is a way to open a wormhole, but just a wormhole with choices. So it's a door that doesn't just go to one destination from here to here, taking out the 10 years it would travel. It is a door where you get to dial in which of the 12 doors you want to go to and then dial it in and transcend.
Well, I think right now, maybe because we don't have the understanding, right now it's just pure randomness. And really the only beings or entities are going through the wormholes are the ones on the other side who know about them, where we are just still going, what's going on here? And which is kind of weird too. Like, how do you explain like the cattle mutilations? We never even talked about that.
I don't know that we need to, man. Some boy just wanted to go play with his scalpel and his knife. He's like, got a knife for Christmas. Yeah. No, absolutely. There have been weird, odd cattle mutilations. The most interesting part is some of the parts of the body that are mutilated, typically the face. And it's not so much a mutilation to me as it is possible radiation.
Could be. But how do you explain not only there, though? But, I mean, there's a lot of places, especially like in southern Colorado, there's like a UFO hotspot in southern Colorado.
I mean, it's not a good day to be a cow.
Because you know, right? Where you remember we went to my family property out there in southern Colorado. There's a UFO hotspot down there somewhere. They actually have like a UFO like.
We need to go there. You wear your Roswell International.
That's the whole reason why I wore this hat.
I know, okay. I love it.
Okay.
You wear your Roswell hat. We go down there. For what you guys don't know, but what he's talking about is just south.
Is it like a
east
mantra?
Of Alamosa?
Yeah.
And Anita, right?
Antonita,
yeah.
Yeah, so I think there's a thing it's called Monte Vista is where the UFO hotspot is.
God, dude, that was still the best wedding I've ever been to in my life. Your mom's and Dennis's. Like, it's just fun.
It was a good time. It was a fun time. All right, so I think for those of you guys who have been watching us, I mean, we could probably go on for quite a while talking about Skinwalker Ranch and stuff like that. But if you have any comments about Skinwalker Ranch or the Black Eyed Kids, please drop them in the comments down below, and we would love to carry on the conversation with you guys. Is there anything else you want to say about Skinwalker Ranch before we wrap it up?
No, I think we're good to wrap up Skinwalker Ranch. I thought it was a fun topic. I actually watched more TV because of this than I have in the last 3 months combined, I'm pretty sure. Just one thing, I do want to revisit the Scotch. So for me, as it has sat here and as it has warmed up, if you will, on the nose, is definitely, I'm actually getting this sense that this company, Bruichladdich, is true to what they're saying. They're intentionally using everything from Isla, and they're making a quality product. And now I am definitely getting some of that citrus, particularly orange for me on the nose, on the palate. It's not as soft of as a start, but it's definitely super creamy. It's still finishing big. The 50% alcohol is there. It's not heavy, but it's a great choice with this Scotch. I've actually wanted to try it a long time. I know these bad boys aren't cheap. 90.
No, it was like roughly $70.
Okay, that's not bad. It's still not cheap, but no. I mean, money's no object on Scotch hours. For me, it's absolutely a win if you want to.
Until we talk to our accountant.
Yeah. So for me, though, if you're going to like poker night, this is a great Scotch to bring if you don't know which Scotch to bring, but they just tell you bring a whiskey or a Scotch.
I agree. All right. What's our topic for next week?
All right. Get ready for this.
I am ready. Maybe not. But
it's going to be hard for me because it means I have to watch a lot more TV. But you got me super interested with 5 minutes of TV the other night.
5 minutes of TV?
Yes. So for me, the topic is going to be the Punisher Netflix TV series.
Yes, I love that show.
And why it is or is not great. The restaurant.
It's fantastic.
Dude, I only saw 5 minutes and I was like, you're like, isn't that twisted? And I'm like, yes, I have to watch this now. Literally, I was just like, yes, damn it, I want to do binge watching some Punisher. My kids will be here this weekend.
It only has 2 seasons, so you're talking about 16 episodes.
16 episodes, 30 minutes each?
No, they're an hour.
So you're talking about a lot of hours, 16 hours.
I think you can come.
I'll make it happen, man.
I mean, if you want to watch all 2 seasons, you can make it happen. But I think you can come. You could come with basically like most of like half of 1 season.
Dude, I'm gonna make this happen.
We should, maybe after this show, after we're done wrapping up here, maybe we should watch episode 1 together.
Dude, I am all in. So I saw 5 minutes. I'm not gonna say, I don't want to be like, here's your 1 week early spoiler alert. Get ready for it. I want to talk so much about this show because the 5 minutes I saw were so amazing. I was just like, oh man. There's the protagonist. There's the antagonist. This is so exciting. It was sexy. It was a sexy show. God damn it.
Here's the worst thing possible that could happen though, is that Like it came out, it was out for 2 years, and then Disney Plus came out with their streaming service, and then
Netflix.
basically told Netflix they couldn't make any more Marvel shows.
Yeah.
But the cool thing that they are doing, though, so there's a little bit of hope, is that Marvel, in the latest Hawkeye TV series, they brought back
Jessica Jones.
Not Jessica Jones. They brought back Kingpin.
Okay.
From the Daredevil series.
Oh, so it's in Punisher comic books.
Yeah. And then also they brought back Daredevil in It was in Spider-Man.
Yep.
From the Netflix series.
Nice.
So Kingpin's been brought back. Kingpin. Daredevil. So, and there's been rumors that they'll probably bring back the same guy for the Punisher, which I think if they do, it'd be freaking awesome because he makes a great Punisher.
I saw him and I was like, who is this Joker? And then 5 minutes later, I'm like, I need to watch this Joker. So that is the restaurant. That is the smarter topic is going to be the Punisher. We can talk about the comic book, the movies. There have been some terrible Punisher movies, also some good ones. And then also for the restaurant, we're going to do the Yak and Yeti.
Yak and Yeti?
Yak and Yeti. I've never been.
Yak and Yeti's good.
I've never been.
I will tell you this.
The one on Hamden.
Yeah, okay. So I mean, if you really want to do Indian food, I would actually recommend going to the Indian House in Parker or the Yak and Yeti on Hampton.
Let's do the Yak and Yeti in Hampton. That's what we're going to do. We're going to go Yak and Yeti in Hampton.
Yak and Yeti in Westminster is better.
I believe you, but we're gonna do this just because that's the restaurant. So if you guys want to go peruse a restaurant and have your own experience and then see how we rate it afterwards, and then the Scotch is going to be another Glenfarclas. I'm not going to ruin which one.
It's probably going to be the 10 or the 15.
Well, it might be something different. There's also another one. So we're going to do another.
No, it's not going to be that one. I know that.
It's not going to be the 40.
Yeah,
but there's
it's not a special edition.
There's another one. There's going to be another one. So we're going to do another Glenfarclas Scotch, and we're going to have a lot of fun. I am super excited about this Punisher because literally 5 minutes made me want to watch TV for the first time since I'm going to say Game of Thrones.
All right, anything you want to say to the people other than all that?
No, for those of you that watch, thank you. Please like, subscribe, give us feedback, and let us know, what do you like? Are we doing a good job with sound? Are we doing a good job with video? Is there something we could do better to make this more enjoyable for you? Are you like, hey, cut out this, or let's talk about Scotch? Give us some more feedback.
Make it constructive and positive, though.
Give us some more constructive and positive feedback. Let us know what we can do better to make this show better for you guys. Like, what would make it more exciting for you? And what I can tell you right now is, man, there's going to be, I think the Punisher is a sexy subject, and I am super excited to talk about it next week.
I'm excited to talk about the Punisher. I really am. I love that. I love that TV series.
5 minutes is all it took to hook me.
So other than that, I just want to say for all of you that do watch us, thank you. I do apologize once again for us not giving you a heads up notice that we were moving to Saturdays for the episodes. If we get a lot of pushback to where Saturdays don't work for you guys, we can look at a different day. But we're going to try to give that a run for at least 3 months, see how that works. But does that seem fair?
Yeah, we'll give it a run. We're doing that because studies have shown literally that's the best time for you guys, the viewer, to get it so you can enjoy it.
So we're taking a look at that. My gut feeling says it was better having it come out Thursday night, so that way you guys could go out shopping Friday and drink Friday and Saturday nights. But if that's what the stats say, then that's what they say, I guess. Apparently, so we'll give that time frame a shot. As Jesse said, please like, share, and subscribe our podcast here. Hopefully, you enjoyed the topics. Even if you don't enjoy Scotches, hopefully at least you enjoy the conversations that we do with the smarter challenges. That's what they're there for as well. But hopefully you enjoy all of it. And we are on YouTube, Rumble, if you're watching us. Audio-wise, we are on Spotify, Podbean, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music and Audible podcasts. And apparently people have found us on some other Audibles, on other audio platforms, which I've never heard of. But hey, if you guys are listening to there, good job as well. And I still want to give a shout out here, one last minute shout out here to our one viewer on Rumble. You're awesome. You keep watching us.
Keep on keeping on.
Keep on
All
keeping
right,
on.
all
Yeah.
right, all right.
All right. And with that, thank you everyone. Same new Scotch time, new Scotch hour, and life is great.
Life is great.
And don't drink and drive.
Don't drink and drive. Oh,
Cheers.
yeah. Cheers.
We hope you enjoyed this evening's episode of Scotch Hour. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe. Also, if you have not done so already, please become a Patron member with memberships starting as low as $1 a month. Thank you, and hopefully you have a wonderful evening.